Hey Gear Facts friends, welcome back to the 606th episode of Gear Facts. This is just going to be a short one. I'm going to give you a tutorial on exactly how to use the Boss ME-25 because some of the functions are a little bit cryptic and nobody would really know how to find them or use them without having read the manual, which I have. And I'm going to save you that trouble. Let's switch him on. No on-off switch for the Boss ME-25. You just plug in a cable or just a mono adapter as I'm doing here. And we're ready to go. It starts by default on preset number 1. Probably the first thing you'll notice when you switch one on, as I did, was that we have write and exit here, and the bracket with edit written in there shows that if we press the two together, we're going to go into edit mode. So now a whole lot of lights come up and you'll see illuminations around the words clean, drive, lead, crunch, heavy, and extreme. Those are all distortion types, not the effects chain. When we're in edit mode, we are looking at the effects chain, which is actually the small writing underneath. Compressor, preamp, delay, overdrives and distortions, modulation effects, and reverb. The one that's flashing means that's the one that we are currently editing. So I can change over to the next one. I could edit the delay settings, edit the overdrive settings, and so on. You get the idea. So direct your eyes downwards a little bit and you'll see compressors and effects here. We have 3 to choose from, but how do you select one from that list of 3? Well, it always comes back to this dial in the center. The variation dial controls many functions of the ME-25, and in this case, it's simply going to take us through 1, 2, or 3. We have compression, touch wah, or acoustic simulator to choose from in this particular block of effects. So by turning this, you'll see that if I turn it right up to 10, nothing happens. 3 is the maximum value. So I can choose 1, 2, or 3, which correspond to any of those effects. Let's just choose 1 and leave it at compressor. The display quite quickly goes back to edit. Moving on to preamp. This time we've got a much longer list. Preamps go from 1 through to 10. So our whole dial here has options from 1 right through to 10. So say we wanted to go to Vox Drive, we would choose number 4, and then automatically it flicks back to general edit mode again. I should have pointed out a moment ago that each of these 3 dials controls the parameters for any effect that you've chosen. So in this case we've chosen Vox Drive, so I can choose the amount of drive there, the tone, and the overall volume. There is some fine print under here too that says parameter 1, parameter 2, and parameter 3. That applies for when we're looking at other effects like modulation, which we're going to look at now. So let's go to the modulation section. Modulation gives us 8 options: chorus, phaser, flanger, rotary, univibe, tremolo, harmonist, and octave. Choose any from the list using this. Notice how nothing's changing. That's because number 8 is selected in this particular patch, so this has an octave effect built in. These dials will never change their values until you go to the value that it's already at. So I need to go to 8 before it'll start to follow me and change its values. So I went up to 8, and now I can go right up to, well, 8 is the maximum in this case, and I can go right back to 1. If I had 10 options, I could go right up to 10. So you've just got to turn your dial to catch that value before it'll start to change. And here we've got another example. The parameter 3 for modulation is set to 99 maximum. So I turn and turn, nothing happens until I actually take this knob up to 99 and then roll it around again. Now I can select anything. Of course, you'll be playing your guitar while you're changing these settings, so you'll know what the good values are. So I think we've got the idea about how to edit the general effects chain there. But what if I want to change the function of this dynamic controller here? Well, it's perfectly simple. You've just got to step on the toe of it, give it a bit of weight. It's much easier if you're doing it with your foot. And the light illuminates. It's flashing, which shows that we're editing it. And this time our list is here. Pedal effects, we can choose wah, up 1 octave, down 1 octave, or freeze. Freeze is an effect that samples a small part of whatever you're playing and just holds it. So it will continue playing whatever that sound was until you either release the pedal, or it runs out of batteries, or the world ends, or whatever. The freeze effect has no finish. Super stack over here is a button that provides a whole lot of boost and gives that stack simulated effect. You can just have that simply on or off, and when you save your patch, it'll be on or off accordingly. Solo is quite similar. That'll give you a boost as well. And as you can see, it can also function as a tap tempo switch. So if we have our patch sounding the way we want it to, you just press right. The flashing means, are you sure? Press right again. You'll get a quick flash saying, yep, okay, I'm saving that one. And now patch 1 has the parameters that we just set. I'll just finish off by telling you that there is one critical effect that you won't see on this, and you will not know how to switch it on or change its parameters without reading the manuals. The effect I'm talking about is noise suppression or noise gate. You will get some noise creeping in. It's not because it's a bad quality unit, it's just a fact of life with distortion and some of the other effects. So how do we suppress noise? Well, this is how you do it. While we're in the edit mode, hold down the exit button but don't release it, and by pressing the two left pedals you can take the amount of noise suppression up or down, 9 being the most unforgiving gate and 1 being just a small amount of noise reduction. Set it as low as you can to have an acceptable amount of noise, because naturally it follows that if you've got a very high level of noise suppression, then anything that you play quietly or a long chord that's playing out slowly may get a little bit choppy at the end as the noise suppressor takes over trying to cancel out very low volume noises. So there's no need to have it on maximum every time. Find the lowest level that you can and then save your patch there using the right button. So that's got it pretty much covered, guys. A couple of things just to mention at the end. You've got your USB audio socket here, which is brilliant if you just want to record direct into a DAW recording interface. Headphone socket is obvious. Left and right outputs for a PA system, or again, that can be useful in the studio. Auxiliary in is nice too if you want to route in a synthesizer or a drum machine, something like that, and have it all coming out through your amplifier. And as I said right at the beginning, cable has to be plugged in for this unit to power on. There is no on-off switch. And lastly, if ever you want to make radical changes to a patch, it's absolutely nothing like the sound you want, just press one of the switches here and it will take you to one of 6 basic moods of sound. And that's a good quick way to get yourself into the ballpark of where you want to be, and then you can go in and start your editing and change the values there. So that's a nice little shortcut. Oh, and there is one thing, the ME-25 does have a looper as well, phrase loop there, and it's controlled simply by holding down this switch for a couple of seconds, and then recording will start. Press it again to stop the recording, and you then have a loop that will continue playing while you add more melodies over the top using the patch sound that you've selected. That takes a tiny amount of practice, but honestly, after about 30 seconds of trying, you'll have a general understanding of how that goes. So thanks again for watching Gear Facts, guys. I'll put up some links to some other videos that may be of interest to you. Please like, comment, or subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time.